hopefully fun, excitement, and a Jedi craze. Now, honestly, a little backstory. I feel like people, what I get from when I do my shows afterwards is nice because I get to meet people and get the feedback. And, some stories people have heard because I always do a little intro on how like I started my career and why I'm up on stage and how surreal it is. And I tell some funny stories about my children, about my wife, about me and Kevin. And yeah, I just hopefully they people walk out there um with a smile on their face and with a little bit more knowing a little bit more about me and who I am as a person and a human being.
Being up on stage, how is that different for you than being behind, in front of a camera and acting? You're the only person up there in front of a crowd. So is that any different for you?
100%, because up there it's like I'm on stage. There's no retakes, there's no let's try take two, take three. Not to mention, it's more about memorizing dialogue and trying to perform that dialogue, and you get multiple chances to get it right. Where when you're up on stage, every show, I've been doing it for years now, and every time before I get up on stage, I'm like, oh man, I hope I hit I hope that I hit my punchlines. Hope when I'm telling my stories, I'm clear and people laugh and have fun and they're not just sitting there because over the years I know I remember going to this one show where I swear half the room I felt like wasn't necessarily a J fan. They were. It seemed like I saw a bunch of different age people probably were like, hey, it's Friday night, man, let's do something. Hey, let's go on a date night and go to the comedy club, not knowing at all who I am. And I remember just standing on stage looking out to the audience and seeing a few people with like this, not smiling, not laughing or anything. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope I'm entertaining them at some level. Um, and I'm not saying I wasn't. Maybe they just weren't laughers or smilers and what have you. But I'm just saying, like, yeah, it's definitely a lot different when you're up there because you have about an hour to try to really hope that you're entertaining people and keeping them entertained and interested and engaged. Where when you're in front of us, a camera, you could say, "Hey, give me 5 seconds," and step away and really think about the dialogue and the scene and get to try it again and try it again. And then you can even watch playback and see how you did, and go, oh, I like that. Like I should have punched, I should have punched this word right here to make it really hit and laugh, make it laughable. So can we do it again?
Yeah. Christmas time is upon us, and I wanted to just ask, um, Christmas more special to you now that you have children?
Oh, definitely. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's funny. My wife, now it's definitely more about the kids and getting them presents and watching, it's so beautiful watching, especially I get to witness it all over again with my 10-month-old. Like I remember, you get presents from the babies for Christmas, and they're usually 10 months, 9 months, what have you. And they could barely open up the wrapping. And when they get their present, they're, that you could tell they're happy, but they have no clue. As they get older, of course, they have Christmas lists and all that stuff. I get to witness fresh, new baby opening a present to my 8-year-old who has a list of 100 things she wants, literally. It is more about them. Don't get me wrong. It used to be more about me and being like, oh man, I hope I get like, especially Kevin. Don't get me wrong. Kevin honestly has been, I don't, my family, my mom's passed, all my family, most of them have passed away.
Mhm.
And the ones that are still around don't I don't really get to see them, or they don't have money, whatever. But my point is Kevin has always been very generous and has gotten me like a new laptop for Christmas, and really sweet. And I always look forward to it, and my wife always gets me something nice. Last year really wanted the new iPad Pro, the 12.9 inch, whatever it is. And it's like $1,800. And I'm like, man, I can't pay that much for a thing. But I was like, maybe I'll get it for Christmas. And my wife got it for me. It was super awesome. So my point is, this year my wife's like, let's make it more about the kids. Let's not give any adults presents. I'm like, whoa, speak for yourself. I still need that Harry Potter Lego that's $400, please. And the Avengers Tower. They just came out with an Avengers Tower this big. And it's like, I want it, but again, it's $400. I'm like, I can't spend. There's literally like 5 Legos I want right now, really bad. The Avengers Tower, the Harry Potter bank. I forget the exact name of it. It's like the bank, and it's really cool. It has the roller coaster in the bottom. There's the Hocus Pocus house. And they're each like 300 to 500. And I'm just like, if I got all these, it's like $2,000 worth of Legos. It's crazy. But for Christmas, maybe.
Yeah.
And so, but it is different. I'm just saying, I still enjoy Christmas. I still hope I get a Lego for Christmas, but it is more about the kids, and it's beautiful to watch. It's really cool to see, especially for me, where I can give my daughter, a good amount of the things she wants. Of course, she wants an iPhone, which we're not getting her because she's not even 9 years old yet. But it's nice that I can get her most of the things she wants. Where when I was her age, I didn't get anything. Like, and again, it is what it is. But my grandma, I lived with my grandma at her age, and my grandma didn't have money for that. So it's beautiful. It's really a beautiful thing to be able to share it with the kids and watch the excitement on their face and everything. Oh yeah, it has been great. It's between social media, Instagram, Twitter, all that. Also, I've been streaming on Twitch now for like 3 years, where I could actually play games and chat with people. And a lot of them come to my live shows, and then I get to hang out with them afterwards. Um, but it is great because, in the beginning, when we started the podcast many, many years ago, I was super afraid, like, well, almost, oh, wow, it's crazy now, but it's been like 14 years ago. I was so afraid to share that I was a heroin addict, and drug addict and all that, because I was so worried about the taboo of it all, and getting work and people liking me or not, not approving and being like, oh, what and then after we started sharing it on the podcast, like, in the beginning, it was all about how it was helping me be accountable to the people, everyone. Hey, I have 6 months, and people would see me in Starbucks and be like, hey, how many months do you have, and how many years you have? Um, but over time, I realized people would come up and be like, oh my gosh, my brother was struggling. He got out of rehab for a month. He wanted to use. And I said, listen to this podcast. And he sat down for 2 hours and listened to it. And it got him through that one day. And he was sober one more day. And then the next day, he listened to another episode and another episode. And it got him through another few months. And that is not something I expected at all. So that has been beautiful. That, like, and then, same with Kevin and I get. What I think has been really amazing over the years is people in the military saying how, like, they're struggling, over in Afghanistan, and I can't imagine. I can't even imagine being in the army or military at all.
Sure.
But they say when they're struggling, they put on a jam song of Strikes Back, and it gets them through the day and makes them laugh and stuff, even though they're seeing all this horrible stuff. And that's been amazing. Like, I had no idea. So between that, like, my story with the sobriety, and people telling me how it's helped them, get through a couple months of sobriety or what have you, and the military, like, it's been super surreal and a beautiful thing, and I love it, man. And I really do love getting to meet people after my amusing stories. We do the meet and greets, and hang out and get to hear people say nice things. It has really been an amazing thing, surreal to me, because it's not something I planned, having people say such kind things and getting to hear it. But yeah, it's really been amazing. Definitely Mallrats, man. Mallrats always stands out for me. It's like, I even sometimes want to. It's like I can't sit and watch it, but I know people. People come and tell me, they're like, I have this movie like when I'm in a bad vibe, I'll put on Mallrats or Jay and Bob to
Mhm.
feel good, and it's that. And I have TV shows like that. It's funny because there's a couple shows like when I've watched them over and over. It's Goofy but Charmed is one of them. Or I'll go back and watch some Murder She Wrote, and
Mhm.
it just gives me this sort of good feeling. Mallrats is like that. I know for people, and almost for me, even because it was when I was, Clerks. When we did Clerks, it really didn't resonate with me. It's like I would go to the quick stop at nighttime. I was super nervous. I would wind up drinking a little bit to calm my nerves. I wasn't, I didn't realize then I wasn't really. I mean, I guess I was always an alcoholic, but I sort of was able to handle it somewhat back then.
Mhm.
Um, it wasn't until like 21 that I really started getting into everything. But anyway, um, and so I'm just saying, like, I would be a little buzzed, and I would just want to get through the scenes and not disappoint Kevin. And then when we were done filming Clerks, I went to back to my job roofing, and I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, that was so much fun. I hopefully made Kevin happy. I did this character for him, and he's going to edit it, and then he's going to put music in it, and he's going to film festivals, and it didn't really make sense. But my point is that when we did that, it was fun, but I didn't really think anything of it. But Mallrats now, all of a sudden, I'm 19 and they're flying me to Minnesota, and I'm staying in a hotel for 3 months, and we're rehearsing, and we've got props, and we've got stunt guys, and we got wardrobe, and they're giving me per diem, which blew my mind when I first got there. They're like, here's an envelope, it's yours. I opened it up, there was like $300 cash. I'm like, wait, what's this for? It's my check. They're like, no, this is just per diem spending money for the week. I'm like, wait, I get this every week? It blew my mind. But my point is, I had so much fun on it because, again, it was first studio movie, first real time that I was like, wow, I'm making a movie. I was working with Shannon Darty, who I grew up watching. So anytime I think of, don't get me wrong, all Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back was so much fun for me too, and Dogma and all of them. But Mallrats really is my favorite. I had so much fun. It was such an experience for a 19-year-old, and just someone never left Jersey. Now I'm in Minnesota in a hotel and stuff. So yeah, Mallrats is definitely my favorite of all time. But then Strikes Back was a blast. I remember I still lived in Jersey, and now I'm living in California for 3 months, in this house with Kevin, and we're going to a studio lot, CBS Radford, which again you only watch in movies. When you watch movies, you see the studio lot when they're chasing someone through there or whatever. And it's so now all of a sudden I'm actually on the lot, and it blew me away. So but yeah, so Mallrats definitely will be I think my all-time favorite because it it still gives me, like, thinking about it. It was like probably the best moment because I'm like, wow, I'm making a studio movie and I'm 19, and this is so surreal. It's great. You know what? Him and I have it's been interesting because, like Mallrats, I really didn't talk to him and stuff because, again, I was sort of intimidated by everybody. It was my first studio movie. He was like a real actor, and so was Matt Damon and stuff. So I mainly hung out with Ethan Suplee and Lee, but not even Lee that much. Lee had his wife there at the time. But anyway, so I hung out with Suplee a lot, and Kevin, but each time I got to hang with them a little more, and it's always awesome. But what was great is when I got out of rehab, 2000, I had gotten the rehab finally after Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back. My mom passed away, and I got really bad. And I came out to California. I still lived in Jersey. I came out to California to do a press junket, and I was a mess. And Kevin's like, "You either have to go home, or I'm putting you in rehab." So Kevin put me in rehab, and after I got out, I didn't want to go back home because I just didn't feel like I was ready to be back in my element yet. I only had about 3 months sober, and Ben let me move in with them. Ben let me live in his house for like a couple months, and I thought that was the sweetest thing. So Ben let me live with them for a couple months until I got some money together and started working and meeting people and all that, and then I got my own place. But I thought that was the sweetest thing, and I got to know Ben better, and it's been awesome. He's a really nice generous dude and a smart dude. But yeah, I know people always got crap to say about him. Like I'll look at tabloids and they'll say mean stuff, and I'm like, they don't even know who he is as a person. I know he's got his issues too. Everyone's got issues, but
Hmm.
it's like they put his issues on the front page of things, and that's why people. But honestly, he's the nicest, like generous, like Kevin is too. It's like Kevin, people see that more because I think Kevin's always out doing podcasts and live events and
Yeah.
all that as well, just like I do. So you actually get to see Kevin, and he's such a generous, nice dude too. But yeah, so anyway, but yeah, Ben has been awesome to work with. Watching him work, he's like I think he's a great actor, great director, but he's also honestly as a person, he's a really nice guy.
Awesome.
So
Last question for you. I just stumbled across an episode you filmed with Jack Osborne for Finding Bigfoot. What was that
yes.
like, man?
Oh, that was a blast. I had so much fun. I've been friends with Jack for years now. Um, Jack's another one who's such a nice guy. So I'll tell this funny really story really quick. So I was out here in LA. It was again, I hadn't lived here yet. I was out here. I forget what I was doing, but I was going out a bunch. I was sober, but I was going out to clubs and stuff a bunch. And I remember meeting Kim Stewart, Rod Stewart's daughter, right? And she was a nice girl and all that. She's like, "Hey, do you want to go to my buddy's house after this club?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll come." So I went with her to this house. I'm hanging out. I fall asleep because we're up to like 3 in the morning, hanging out, talking, playing games, all that. And I remember waking up like, but it was like 8 in the morning. They're like, "Let's get breakfast." And I remember just sitting there half asleep because I was like so tired. And I like, we're at a red light. I look up and I'm in the car, and then my mind just exploded because I realized at that moment, it took me a sec to comprehend and realize I'm in the car with Kim Stewart, Jack Osborne, and Nicole Richie. Lionel Richie's kid, Ozzy Osbourne's kid, and Rod Stewart's kid. Because I grew up, my mom listened to Rod Stewart and Lionel Richie. I remember driving as a kid in the car, and my mom would be jamming to Lionel Richie and Rod Stewart. And my brother, who's 8 years older than me, loved Black Sabbath and Ozzy. So for me to be years later in a car, anyway, it was just such a surreal moment in LA, California with these guys, but all of them super nice. But anyway, Jack and I got to know each other, and then Jack and I actually lived together for a bit. But anyway, long story short, years later, he's doing these shows, and he called me up. He's like, "Bro," he's like, "Man, what do you think about Bigfoot? Like, what's your take on him?" And we talked a bit about it, and I was like, "He's like, okay, I'm doing this show. I'd love for you to come with me, man. Let's go look for Bigfoot." I'm like, "I'm in." And then like a couple months later, he's like, "Hey, dude, we're going to Skinwalker Ranch. Do you want to come and like look for like these skinwalkers and stuff?" And then I went, we did. So we've done three now. I don't know if you realize. So we've done Ashmore Estates, Skinwalker Ranch, and then Bigfoot. And I'm hoping, man, it was so all three of them have been a blast. And it's so much fun. It's such an interesting experience. Like we go and we set up these gadgets and we really try to like it's like really you really try to hunt stuff and listen for stuff and it's all real stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, they might say, "Hey, let's go here, there's more activity," and like you have to sit there for an hour, but everything's really so it's been fun and very educating in like how things work and all these different things people have come up with to try to detect ghosts or detect this or that. So it's been a blast. If it did well for Discovery Network, Discovery Plus, that they possibly would do some more. So I'm crossing my fingers.
Well, hey Jay, I appreciate your time. I look forward to seeing you here next week. And I don't know if you
Definitely.
realize this. This is your fourth time interviewing with Review STL, so I think you're one of our first fourth timers. So
Really?
yeah,
I
man.
love that. Well, thank you. I hope that's
Thanks.
a good thing, right?
That's a
They
great
keep
thing.
asking
Yeah,
me
man.
back all the,
No,
oh, it is. All right,
we
good.
love talking to you. Yeah, no. So no, I look forward to seeing the show next weekend and have yourself a happy holidays in the meantime.
You too, man. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll see you next week.